Yes, run fans, welcome back to Light It Up with me, Sam, and we have finally got a parkrun video. You join me on Worthing Beach. I was going to go to Battersea, I did say that in some of my previous videos, but I decided to stay local rather than get the train up on my own and do all that jazz. So we're at Worthing, which is a very fast parkrun. Now, for those of you new to the channel or you haven't watched any of my other videos, which is completely fair enough, I injured myself 9 weeks ago. I busted my hip flexor, couldn't run, was on crutches, all that other rubbish, and so I've not run fast at all. The last 2 weeks I've been slowly getting back to it. I've been doing lots and lots of just easy runs, trail runs, walking, and all that other stuff. And so today is a bit of a test because I'm going to be tempted to absolutely just go for it. I feel really fit still. I did loads of cross training. I've changed the way I train and run over these last 9 weeks, and part of me just wants to prove that I can absolutely smash it, but that's not going to be what is best for my recovery and my legs. I'm still in that recovery mode, so I'm going to rein it back. I'm not going to try and run a sub 20 just yet. We're gonna go at a half decent pace, for the context of what I can run. But yeah, it's not, I'm going to try and hold myself back. I've got the Evo SLs on because I want to try I don't think I've ever run a parkrun in anything other than carbon plate shoes. I apologise, I am that guy. So we're going to get that done and see how it goes. I'll do a nice commentary over the top. Hopefully we'll still be able to race some people, even if they don't think they're racing. It's all up to you whether you race or not, as far as I'm concerned. And so yeah, we're going to get all that done. It's so misty and foggy, I'm sure you can see. It's an absolute nightmare for white balance, so I apologise if it's all, the colour's a bit off, but it's what we've got to work with. Conditions are actually pretty perfect. There's no wind, and it's not hot, not cold, considering it's 8:29 in the morning. And yeah, absolutely buzzing to do this. It's been 9 weeks out not being able to do park runs and do videos and stuff, and I've been absolutely gagging for it. So yeah, can't wait. Becky and Dan are going to be around, and I'm sure some other people, maybe Stephen from Film My Run. I know he does Worthing Parkrun sometimes, he lives nearby. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some friends along the way, and let's get this done. Yeah. Breakfast of champs. Goal. Here we are then, run fans. We're at the start line of Parkrun, and as you saw in that video a second ago, it is absolutely rammed. Now, it has about 100 runners less than when I've done it at Hove, but Hove is about 4 times or 5 times the width of this starting point. It starts in a really narrow place on the promenade. You've got people on the beach, people to the sides, people everywhere, which, to be honest, is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be behind people in the crowds. As you can see here, there's all different people starting at different paces, and I'm completely fine with that. If you want to go fast at parkrun, you need to line up really far forward. I've been through that with all my tailgate videos, and so I'm not getting annoyed or anything like that with people, because it's completely on me to line up in the right place. So in the crowds works perfectly. As we can see here, my target pace is, I want to do a sub 23 today, hopefully, which is a 4:36 per kilometre or 7:24 per mile. Now, I'm going to have stats coming up across the race or across the parkrun today. My camera was being an absolute knobhead, and it didn't record the stats because I haven't used it for a while, and it was out of sync and all sorts of things. But I've painstakingly, over the last couple of hours, gone through where the markers are and managed to do it myself. So sadly, no ongoing pace throughout the run today, but I can talk you through it as we go. We're gonna have the kilometre splits coming up as well. Now, as I said at the start, it's a very misty day. It looks pretty spooky with the Ferris wheel coming into into sight just as we close down on it. And luckily, the crowd's already starting to disperse. Everyone's finding their place within the park run, and there's plenty of people for me to run with and try and catch up. Now, my plan was to start off at a steady pace, let the crowds control my pace, and then if my hip is feeling okay, start to push it, because it's not injured in the way that it was, and it is recovering, and I need to use something like this to really push it on a little bit. And it's hard because the last time my injury felt like this, I pushed it and it hurt, whereas I'm on the opposite side of the recovery phase now, and I need to tell my brain and tell my ligaments and tendons and muscles that it's okay to push on. So as I push on, if it hurts more, obviously I will slow down, because that's my body telling me that's the wrong thing to do. But if it starts to ease up and feel better, then I know that's a green light to maybe push on. And shout out for the foreshadowing here right now, but I do get to push on and start taking some names on the way back. There's no real wind today. There's not a headwind or a tailwind. It's pretty neutral as far as conditions go, which is pretty good. And even though I said the temperature was right at the start, actually it is so close. There's lots of moisture in the air, so immediately you're quite hot and sweaty as this guy comes past me, but we'll be not having that for much longer. Heading through the first kilometre then, I've settled into a nice pace, and it turns out that pace is a 4:35 per kilometre. Now, for the last 9 weeks, I have not run even close to 4:35 per kilometre, so it is a bit of a shock to the body. I've not got my heart rate on my wrist or anything like that, so I'm just doing it completely by feel, but it's comfortable enough. I know that I've got to get my body back used to it. Now, my heart rate has been up into the high 180s, 190s, whether that's on my bike or on the Stairmaster, but they don't quite come across to running in the same way. It's a different type of effort when it comes to how the heart rate feels. So combined with the heat, I'm thinking, blimey, am I going to settle in now for maybe a sub 25, or will I need to push on? At this point of my race, of the park run, I'm not sure. So I'm just holding the pace, following as many people as I can. I'm not going crazy, but to be honest, when I was running down the other way to the start line, I was doing like a 5:30 kilometre, and that felt really, really hard. But I also did know that when I get surrounded by people, my competitive spirit, I get carried away with all the other people running and stuff, and I knew that is definitely going to help. So if you're someone that's worried about doing a PB or a time, entering a race, or coming to Parkrun, you always get a lot more out of yourself. So I cannot recommend it enough, especially races. When it's a race, more so than Parkrun, there's that extra edge that brings out that final few percent that you need to get through that barrier. As we can see, I'm starting to overtake Orange Headband Man, and this guy on the right who's flying along with the dog. Check out what happens. This is absolutely brilliant. Dog's having a great time, and then suddenly he decides that this part was the exact place to go to the toilet, completely holding his poor owner up. But I did see him at the turnaround, and he was flying once again. I think that was his only doggy doo-doo for the day. Right, I want to get into chatting about the shoes I was wearing today, the Adidas Evo SLs. I bought mine at a discount for £110. I think they're £130 normally, but you can, if you are pretty savvy on the internet, you can find them for about £110 as we go through the first mile, the 7:25. So feeling good, picking the pace up ever so slightly, but we're going to wait for that turnaround before we really push on. But the shoes immediately disappeared from under my feet. They felt really good. I've done some really easy miles, like 6:30 kilometer paces in them, and they felt really good. They're nice and light. They're not too clumpy on your feet. The upper's nice. There's plenty of grip. They just feel like amazing shoes. But I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely blown away today by how they performed. The quicker I went, the better they got. And hopefully you'll see, if you watch the end of this video, just how fast I go and how good they feel. So at 4:35 pace, they're feeling absolutely fantastic. I didn't even think about them once during my run. Sometimes with the carbon plated shoes, you can sort of definitely feel them, especially if you're running below the target pace for those carbon plated shoes. So like my Metaspeed Sky Parises feel very, very similar to my Evo SLs, except at slightly slower paces, and I'm talking slower for me, which is around sort of 4:30 to 5 minute kilometer pace. You do feel them a bit more. You feel the carbon plate working. I don't necessarily know it's the carbon plate, but they just feel slightly stiffer, if you know what I mean. And so that turnover as you land, and I land my midfoot. So as I go from my midfoot to my forefoot, there's just a little bit of extra work, I think. Whereas in these Evos, I was just landing and just taking off. They were so light. They felt absolutely fantastic. And for £110, I cannot get over just how good they are. Second kilometer then, it's a 4:34, which I'm very, very pleased with. I've held that pace. I've settled in. My heart rate is at about 175. I was looking at my Strava graph afterwards. Didn't go anywhere close to my max heart rate, which is really good considering I've not run like this for 9 weeks. So over nearly 2.5 months. I was really unsure exactly how I would respond. I feel really fit. I've done so much mountain biking, cross training. I've really upped my strength. If you've not watched my other videos, I won't bore you completely, but basically I've been injured quite badly twice over the last year, and I realised I've got to do something different. So I've started properly strength training, doing yoga, doing mobility and stretches, and really taking it seriously. I've swapped out how I train and how I track my training. It used to be by mileage and only following how much running I'm doing, which put more and more pressure on me to try and get to those 100, 110 kilometer weeks. And I'd end up just overdoing it and hurting myself. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm tracking all my cumulative time of exercise that I do. So going on the elliptical counts as far as my training goes, the same as doing a run. Now I know the benefits are very different, but it really makes me dial back my running, because to get far, I want to run a sub 3 marathon soon as we just go around the vibiest Marshall. Absolutely loving life. There's Becky, and there's Ellis as well from the South Downs Way video, and there's Dan as well. So Becky, she's my PT, my personal trainer. I'm seeing her once a month, and I'm also doing 2 big strength sessions a week. I'm doing yoga once a week. I'm doing elliptical. I'm swapping that out for a run sometimes, and I'm also doing Stairmaster. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on, but it's all changes that I'm making. I'm not necessarily running further or faster. If anything, I'm running slower in my training. I've read a book by Matt Fitzgerald called The 80-20 Running, and that's my plan at the moment. If you want to see more of all that sort of stuff, check out my other videos where I go into depth about that. But I basically was sick of properly injuring myself, and the way my personality is, I needed to change what I was doing and change my focus. So now it's on getting stronger, and I've been doing it for 9 weeks. And today is testament that I can crack out the sort of parkrun that I've done, and you'll see at the end what time I get. But I'm really picking up the pace now, and I'm feeling strong. And as you can see, I'm just going past people, and I'm feeling better and better and better the longer the run goes on. And I've done no running training for 2.5 months. Bear that in mind. It's all been strength, yoga, mobility, cycling, elliptical, Stairmaster, but it's not been running. And I'm pretty much at the same sort of fitness running wise as I was when I stopped. So I think that's testament to the plan and what's going on. So I'm really excited to add running training to all that other stuff and find a way to fit it all in, and then really push on and see if we can get that sub 3 sometime next year. I'm focusing on half marathons first though. I've got Copenhagen half marathon, I just want to beat my PB, so I want to go sub 129, and that's in September. Then I've got Seville half marathon in January, and that's where I want to do a sub 125. So I really want to focus on that, and then once I've got my half marathon time down, that's when I'm going to be confident enough to really push on with the marathon training and smash it out. I've been trying to do sub 3 marathon training, and my body was just not ready. As we're going past more and more people, I'm getting faster and faster and faster as this run goes on, and there's no better feeling, if I'm honest. Third kilometre then, and some might say we're entering the hardest part of a 5k. It is a 4:11. We've picked up the pace, but the brilliant thing is I feel better in this kilometre than I did the previous two. So now I've seen that, I've now committed to myself that I'm going to do a sub 4 or go for a sub 4 in the last kilometre and pick it up in this fourth kilometre as well. So anything between 4 and 4:10 I'll be happy with, and then we're going to really go for it, and we're going to start to try and race some people, try and pick it up and beat these people back to the finish line. Second mile 6:51, so again we're picking up that pace. Now lots of people have arguments and say all sorts of things about Parkrun, whether it's a race or not and all that jazz. I personally feel it's whatever you want it to be, and it doesn't matter if I'm racing this guy in the black top ahead. I'm not pushing him over, I'm not getting in his way. So whatever I want it to be, whatever he wants it to be, it can work. And if it motivates you, which it definitely does for me, as we have to do a little skip and a hop through this gap here, and again, as I did that, I really picked up the pace to get through there, and it felt great. And the shoes were just so easy to do those little efforts, and I can't wait to run some hillier routes and things with them, because I think going up hills they'll feel absolutely fantastic. So the faster I get, the shoes are really coming into their own. And I've never, as I said at the start of this video, I've never run a Parkrun not in carbon shoes. So it's either been in Alphafly 1s or Adios Pro 4s or Wave Rebellion Pro 2s or Metaspeed Sky Parises. And I always thought the faster you get, the carbon plate then starts pinging back and it really pushes you on. And I thought in these Evo SLs, without that plate, as I got faster, I wouldn't be feeling that sort of impact of the carbon plate. But I literally didn't even think about it. I just ran and they did whatever I wanted to do without any fuss, any extra effort. They just went. I think it's down to the rocker geometry really suits the forefoot, and then as I start the midfoot, sorry, and as I start running faster, really getting onto my forefoot. Centurion, South Downs Way 50 finisher here. Absolute respect to him, but sorry mate, we're coming past you. And he does try and stay with me for a bit after as I go, and I hear him, which is again, that's such good. I love that, having that person behind me really eggs me on to push on and do as well as I can. My hip by this point, I'm not even thinking about it. It is completely disappeared afterwards, and right now it feels a little bit sore, but it's not sore as in re-injured. It's sore as in I've pushed my tendons and ligaments further than I have for 9 whole weeks. So obviously they're going to have a little bit of achiness and soreness. So that's all good. Going to stretch it out. I did a nice long cool down, big walk, some stretches. Going to do some mobility tonight and then get out for an easy run tomorrow on the trails, which will be fantastic. Past the carousel we go then, and we're finishing off what some say is the hardest kilometre in a 5k, the fourth one, 4:06, and I'm absolutely delighted with that. Now I know I've got more left in the tank, but at this point I'm just re-evaluating how my hip is feeling. It feels really good, but I know I'm warmed up and I don't want to go too far and push it too much, because like I've said, I've not used it properly in 2.5 months. So I'm going to go for just below a sub 4 if I can. So I'm going to check my watch a few times as we're still going past people. There is no better feeling in a running race than towards the end going past people who are either holding the pace or slowing up slightly because they've gone out too fast. Check out Brett Obi-Wan Brand on YouTube. His London Marathon video is actually fantastic for that. He finished really well, overtaking plenty of people at the end. And obviously Cole Running, check out him, his 2:16 that he did at London, where he literally took everyone's names apart from like one other person. So he absolutely smashed it. Shout out to them. But back to Worthing Parkrun, where I am, which is not quite the London Marathon, but as far as I'm concerned right now, it is my London Marathon. We are quickly catching up to plenty of people, and the shoe is just getting better and better. I'm now running at like a 4 and just below 4 pace. We're getting towards the end. When you see these bollards, you know you haven't got long left. I'm not sure what time I'm on, but I know it's definitely going to be beating my sub 23 target. Blue Top is finishing very strong as well, so I decided to latch on to him and try and stay with him. But as you'll see in a second, there's a bit of parkrun racecraft that comes into the overtake, because he goes towards the left, I go towards the right, and yeah, one of us makes the right decision. Let's have a look who it is. Back to the shoes though. I know I'm going on about it so much, but for £110, if you told me that these shoes were the brand new Asics Metaspeed Rays or whatever it was, and I just ran with them on my feet, I'd be like, yep, great, that's definitely a £280 super shoe. They absolutely were fantastic and they blew my mind. And it's a £110 shoe. Like, I cannot tell you, you should try them out. Right, here's Blue Top. He goes to the left, I go to the right. I think he gets completely blocked in. I feel slightly bad, but you know, you've got to make those choices. You can't Lance Stroll it through life sometimes. You've got to Alonso it. And that's the last we saw of him. I heard him behind me for a little bit, but now is the moment where I really start to pick it up. I think, right, I can finish strong. Last sort of 400 or 500 meters, I can really, really push it as we go through the middle. I do say apologies to them for that. When you go through the middle of anyone, just a little hand, even if you don't touch them, you shouldn't touch them anyway. But if you do, put a hand up, say sorry. There we are, we're at 3:44 pace at this point as we come through. And I forgot how long this last stretch is. So I've put in a bit of a finishing burst and I realise I've got much further to go. And I start thinking, right, for the video, do I want to be sprinting and overtaking as many people as possible, or do I need to protect my leg? That third mile is in a 6:25. Very, very pleased with that. So I take 250 parkrun, man. Well done to him. I look ahead and I think, right, actually, we're just going to hold this pace. Old me would have absolutely gone for it and maybe retorn my leg. New me is taking a slightly more conservative approach as we are closing down on people. That time is looking pretty good. The 5th kilometre, we got it out in a 3:59. Couldn't be more happier with that. We have paced it to perfection. As this guy stops weirdly 10 metres before the finish, I'll take that. And we end up with a parkrun time of 21:20. That's a 4:17 average. That lady there did a fantastic job finishing, jumping ahead of that guy as well. And as you can see, with my pacing, I'm pretty happy. It's the perfect negative split. That's how I want to do some runs. Look at that. First two, pretty much the same. 4:35, 4:34. Then we build up with like a 4:16, I think. 4:06 and a 3:59. Heart rate pretty safe in the threshold zone. You can't ask for more. It's all I wanted. First parkrun back after 9 weeks. I'm absolutely delighted. Right, over to me on the beach. Yeah. There we go then. We're back on the beach. That was super, super fun. It was so good to get back running like that. It was a bit of a shock to my body to be at those sort of heart rates. Again, running is so different. Like, I've done that sort of heart rate on Stairmaster and things, but running is just different. It is just a different thing altogether. But as you saw in the video, I picked it up, finished really strong. Hip feels a little bit sore, but nothing to worry about. Just it's getting used to those mechanics, like I've been going on about in all my other videos. It's not an injury soreness. It's oh blimey, I've got to do this sort of soreness. And that's where soft tissue injuries are so much harder than the bone injuries, I think, because bone injury, you just, once it stops hurting, you just gradually build up and it's fine. Whereas soft tissue is sort of, you're constantly testing a bit, breaking down those fibers and getting them to get in line again with your mechanics and all that sort of stuff. I'm not a doctor, so don't take that as, you know, as gospel, but that's how I'm imagining it. And so you've got to push it sometimes. You've got to go out your comfort zone, and when you've injured yourself, where you've run like I did, where it started hurting and you ran and carried on and then made it loads worse, mentally it's so difficult to feel that pain and not automatically think I'm in trouble here. But we did it, we pushed through, it felt really good. Quicker I went, the better it felt. Shoes were absolutely incredible. These Evo SLs are amazing. I'm sure I spoke about it in the video, but I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference between these and my Metaspeed Sky Parises, to be honest. Like, speed, especially when I was picking it up, they felt amazing. Super light, super responsive. Yeah, these are going to be my go-to parkrun shoe for sure. And I think I'm going to wear them for the 10K, might as well. So So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you've got this far, please do. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers before I run Snowdon Trail Marathon on July 12th, which is a big ask. That's a lot of followers, but it's my first parkrun video back, and so I'd massively appreciate any like and love that you can give. So yeah, every single person that watches, thank you very much. And yeah, next week we've got a parkrun, and then we've also got Worthing 10K that I'm going to be doing. Will I go for a PB? Probably not. But we could go pretty low 40s, I think. If I recover well from today and it feels all right and I get a decent run in tomorrow, there's absolutely no reason why we can't keep pushing that envelope ever so slightly as we work towards our sub 19, maybe before Snowdon, but certainly afterwards. Right, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Yeah!